So now let's talk about the ocean. I'm gonna tell you a couple facts about the ocean, and then we're gonna do an experiment with saltwater and freshwater. I'm gonna have some handy dandy gems of all different colors, and we're gonna see which ones float and which ones sink, and we're gonna talk about why. First fact, did you know that 70% of our world is a big ocean? It's all water with just a little bit of land. The land where you and I live, right? Did you know that our water in our world is actually one big ocean connected all together? That's right. Our oceans are one big body of water all together, and they're connected. Kind of like Legos connect, our oceans connect. Pretty cool, huh? The biggest ocean in the world is called the Pacific. The Pacific actually has areas in it that are 7 miles deep. That's pretty deep, right? Now this is interesting. Did you know that you can find volcanoes and mountains at the bottom of our oceans? Pretty wild. The scientists that study our oceans estimate to be over 1 million different animals in our oceans. That's a lot of animals, right? Most of the sea animals that live in the ocean can't live in the fresh water. They have to stay in the salt water in order to survive. The people that study our oceans have only studied a small amount of our oceans. That means there's so much more ocean that's never been discovered. Can you imagine the creatures down there? Pretty spooky. Did you know that we're the only planet known to have water? No other planet has water. Pretty wild, huh? Like we talked about last week, the biggest animal in the ocean is the whale shark. It's huge, as big as 2 school buses in size, and weighs more than an elephant. So where does saltwater come from? How does it even get made? Well, how it happens is all the rocks and pebbles and stones that travel to the ocean from our streams and stuff are what create the salt in our oceans. Pretty cool, huh? What makes things float in saltwater and not in freshwater? Their density. That's a pretty big word, isn't it? So you have things that have low density, and you have things that have high density. What is density? Density means how close it is together. So kind of like this gem here. This gem is nice and hard, right? It's solid. Whereas a marshmallow, for instance, a marshmallow is fluffy, right? So the gem I have here has a high density, where a marshmallow has a low density. So things with that lower density are gonna float a lot better. So let's try a little experiment to see how things actually float in water versus salt water. So I have 3 glasses of water here. I made salt water with this one. This is fresh water, just plain old water. And this I put a little baking soda in just for fun. I'm gonna take these jewels and see which ones will float in which cup. All right, ready? Let's check it out. Let's start with the fresh water. I'm gonna put a few gems in our fresh water. They sink. All right, let's check baking soda. Whoop. Looks like they sink in the baking soda too. Well, let's try salt water. Put a few gems in there and see what happens. Look at that, they float. How cool is that? Because our salt water has salt in it and it makes it more dense, that's why our gems are floating in there. This is the fresh water. Like I said, it's fresh water. There's no density in the water, so they sink. And then baking soda, same concept. Fresh water they sink. Now let's try this experiment with eggs. Are you ready? Again, I have my salt water, I have my fresh water, and I have some baking soda. So let's see how our eggs float and if they even will. All right, let's try this experiment with some eggs. So I got my salt water, I got my fresh water, and I got my baking soda water. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm gonna put the egg in the fresh water first. It sunk. Let's try baking soda. It sunk. Now let's try the salt water. What do you think is gonna happen? Look at that, it floats. I'm gonna show you a little closer. Our egg is floating in that water. Pretty wild, huh? So that was a pretty cool experiment, wasn't it? We got to learn how gems and eggs float and sink in different types of water. So cool. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye.